So shapes really are something. No, really, shapes are literally just a form of something. Like most definitions I found for shapes are like, it's a spatial thing, or it's a geometrical shape. Like, okay, let me just play with my shape and my shape. Shape is such a weird concept. It's honestly hard not to just think of it as just being the same thing as any object ever. However, our simple minds have been saved by the much more complicated concept, math. Geometry is the section of math that deals with this stuff, shapes and measuring them, so they somewhat make sense. When you decide to measure something the same in some different ways, then bang, there's what we call a geometric shape. There's all sorts of these shapes, but a few are known universally. I mean, for example, planetary, because we're on a circle. Alrighty. So yeah, anyways, you guys read the title. I'm making a tier list of these guys. So most of you probably already know how this works, but I'm gonna have a page with all these tiers. S at the top being the best, C being the middle with neither positive or negative, and F at the bottom is the worst. And I'm gonna put stuff wherever I want. Now here's kind of how my rankings are gonna happen. First, I'm gonna take into account aesthetics, how nice it is to look at. Then I'm gonna think about its value. How practical is it? How much does it help our society? And how much do we need or want to use it? And last is simply my personal bias, because I am objectively correct about everything. I know you guys know it. Okay, real quick, close your eyes. When I say shape, I guarantee that like 80% of you are thinking of a circle, square, or triangle. So I'm gonna start with those guys. They're the most basic geometric shapes, and we all know about them. Circle is just round with no flat edges. This is probably the most simple thing, but it's super hard to replicate. You can't just create a circle from Legos or sticks or whatever. It's gonna be all edgy, and thus not a circle. But yeah, they're super nice aesthetically, and they are the same regardless of rotation. They look super clean. They're also super valuable through just the wheel alone. My personal bias lines up with those points pretty well, and we're gonna put it right at A tier. Next is square. Now this is very easy to make in real life and digitally and literally everything else. It's just 4 equal sides. So yeah, it's definitely practical, no question. Aesthetically, it's like fine. If some sort of building or art or whatever has a square as its big statement or whatever, I probably wouldn't care as much because it's so common. But maybe that says something about how versatile it is. Anyways, this is just the shape. C tier. Now triangles, oh. Triangles are so sick. Aesthetics, yes. Practicality and function, yeah. And I think you can tell I'm a fan. S tier. Cool, now we're gonna expand the list. But first, just the square and the circle. Rectangles are just long squares. Now these are aesthetically fine as well. It's like they're so common that it's crazy unnoticeable. Again, it's cool that it can be everywhere and people aren't against it, but it's really not special. For me, it's going D tier. Actually, I think the square is even better than the rectangle. B tier. Ovals are the same idea as rectangles, but there's completely different points for them. No practicality most of the time, and aesthetically, it's just a worse circle. I'm on the fence between B and C, but C's looking lonely. Okay, now pentagons are just continuing the trend of adding sides, going from 4 to 5. This eliminates all purpose and reason. Not very good. D tier. Actually, I changed my mind. C tier. D tier, D tier. Now we can just keep going up in sides forever, but there's a point where nobody cares. So we're only gonna go up to 8. First, we got hexagon. I bet a ton of you just thought about bees. Hexagons can fit perfectly together, and you can fit more in a smaller space than squares. And that's why bees use them. They're practical, mildly aesthetic, obviously B tier. Now for the outcast, heptagon. 7 sides, doesn't really fit anywhere, not practical or aesthetic. I always think it's uneven because of how big these bottom parts are, but no, same deal if it's rotated, it just feels wrong. F tier. Octagons are just stop signs, so that's cool. That's all I really think about though. C tier, definitely higher than pentagon though. Alright, cool. Now growing up, you learn the basic shapes, you know, circle, triangle, square, pentagon, but only the elite children selected through the United States education system to take on the first grade obtain the true knowledge of shapes, thus awakening their third eye to become aware of an entirely new dimension they've been living in. 3D is a cool concept because before you'd walk around a circle and it disappears. But now since it's 3D, it becomes a sphere, and it's a circle all the way around. Cubes are everything I said about squares, but deep. Fit nicely everywhere, simple. I'm gonna put it at B. And I'm gonna put it like this. You know, square, is C tier. Spheres are the same deal. Balls are really cool and I'm a fan. And thinking about how it looks the same no matter where you're looking is very, very nice. And it feels good on my brain. S tier. Actually, I also like thinking about cubes flipping over and making nice little sounds and stuff. A tier. Pyramids are very interesting. It's like the whole triangle thing going on, but not quite as good as the triangle itself. A tier. Now for some combo shapes. Triangle and circle make a cone. This one's fine. C tier. Circle and square or rectangle makes a cylinder. Pretty cool, but it's a little too ominous. I know that doesn't make sense. It's just how I feel. E tier. Now, when you do that with a triangle, it's much better. S tier. And for all the other prism shapes, they're somewhere between F and B-. Not these, though. We already did them. All right, here we go. Now it's time for those bonus shapes. So first, we're going to talk about Booba and Kiki. Kiki and Booba are the names of these two shapes. Now, right now, I want you to decide which one is named Kiki and which one is Booba. According to a bunch of studies, you most likely said Kiki and Booba. I actually love these guys. First, I'm putting Booba at A tier. Right there. Seems very friendly and kind and easygoing. Just a little blob guy. Then Kiki has got to be my personal favorite. S tier for sure. Kiki is kind of random and has more extreme things about it. And in many ways, I personally vibe with that. Cool. Now for another study thing, Greebles. These goblin-looking guys have the same idea where you connect the names to the shapes, but basically it tested if Greeble recognition worked similarly to facial recognition. But yeah, here's the 10 main Greebles. They're split into 2 genders and 5 families. Their names go left first, then top. So this guy's name is Plok Samar. He's one of my personal favorites. S tier. Cool. Now plok osmit is fine. Kind of chumpy if you ask me, but it seems like the most throwable, if that makes sense, which is a plus for me. A tier. Plok golly is not good. F tier. Plok radok is eh. C tier. And last of the plok gender, plok tasio. I have no idea if I'm saying these right. This one's something for sure. I'm gonna go B tier. Now for the glyphs. The plok gender mainly has downturned features, while the glyphs have more upward features, but they all look similar to their counterpart of the same family, as you can see with the general shapes. So starting with glyph samar, A tier. Glyph osmit is less throwable than plok osmit, B tier. Glyph golly is fine, C tier. Glyph radok, B tier. And finally, Glyptasio is just C tier. Alrighty guys, well here's your official ranking for the shapes. Like I said, if I missed an important one, let me know. I'll try to respond, but if you guys want a sequel, I can make that happen too. Well, let me know which Greeble you are today. Personally, I'm Glyph Samar right now. So yeah, pretty cool. Subscribe.